Believe it or not, 7-seater SUVs are a really big business in the UK. Every month there are hundreds of thousands of searches on Google for best 7-seater SUVs. But the problem with the best ones, such as the Volvo XC90 and the Audi Q7, which I've reviewed up there somewhere, are that they're really expensive. They cost even more than a half-term break to Center Parcs, which is outrageous. But this, the Peugeot 5008, promises to do the same 7-seat job for less money. I say less, it costs from 37 grand still. This mid-spec Allure Premium Plus is £40,000 and you can spend it above £43,000 if you go for a top-spec hybrid one. But yeah, should you buy a Peugeot 5008 or should you just go to Center Parcs, go down the rapids, go horse riding and have a family argument in the pancake house? Let's find out. So what is it then, other than being very muddy? Sorry about that. Well, it's Peugeot's flagship SUV. It's essentially a longer version of the Peugeot 3008, which is an SUV I lived with last year and really enjoyed because it just did things a little bit differently to the German competition. This is 20 centimetres longer than that. It's 4.64 metres long, which makes it about the same size as an Audi Q5 and a little bit shorter than a 7-seater Volkswagen Tiguan All-Space. But the magic of this car is in here. So we're going to start in the back seats, just like all the best Tinder dates. Apparently, I'm way too old to be making that joke. I've got no idea what online dating is. Yep, the big news for the 5008 is that you've got 3 individual rear seats, and that means 3 seats with ISOFIX points. So if you're a parent, you can put 3 child seats side by side. Now, granted, if you've got big, bulky seats, you probably won't have enough width to fit them in, but you've got a flat floor here, so you could potentially even put a seat with a base on it with a leg in the middle, and there aren't many cars in the world that can do that. They also slide and recline individually, so if you've got adults back here, you can get really comfortable, and it just feels like a van. You can walk through it. It's really cool, nice flat floor, and you've got these picnic tables here as well, which are really sturdy, much sturdier than the ones you get in Volkswagens and things like that. I've also got 12-volt socket here. I've got some hotter, colder buttons, and because it's a 7-seater, I'm going to have to throw my dignity out the window and get in the back seats. Oh, I should point out you can get a panoramic sunroof in the 5008 as well, but it does drop headroom quite significantly. So yeah, do check out the back seats with a sunroof if that's the car you want, because you might be banging your head on the sky window. Right, time to put my dignity on the line and jump in the back seats. I've got my GoPro to show you what I can see. But anyway, I've got to fold down that seat, slide it forward, then that is the space that I'm going to have. I don't think this is going to be very roomy for a grown-up. Okay, kneecaps have just exploded. Yeah, okay. Now, I can kind of fit here, but now that person hasn't got much room at all, and my feet are squished and my leg is jammed into that. So yeah, it's okay. I've got 12-volt socket back here, but I'm pretty cramped, to be honest. It's not the most pleasant experience. A Kia Sorento does have more space in the 3rd row, and also you don't get ISOFIX on the rear seat, so I'll say it's for kids, but then they can't have their child seats back here. There wouldn't be room anyway. And my head is jammed into the ceiling. I do have some light controls here though. Yeah, 7-seaters are nearly all like this, to be honest. Some a bit better, but most, yeah. Let's check out the boot. The boot space on the 5008 is pretty impressive, as you'd expect. It's 702 litres, which makes it just a little bit smaller than the all-new Skoda Kodiaq that's just been announced, but it's a really useful boxy space. I can imagine throwing a couple of tents, camping chairs in there and going away for a week of family terror in the countryside. Now, as you can see, I've folded that seat back down, the rear seats. You just pop them up like that. It's really easy. You can do it with one hand, and to put it back down, you pull this little red strap and move that out of the way, and there you go, fold it down. Now you can actually unclip those rear seats and take them out completely if you don't want them. All that really does though is save a bit of weight in the car and give you a bit more underfloor storage here. But it's a really great space, lots of little cubbies and things here, and in Allure Premium Plus models like this one, you can actually fold the front passenger seat all the way down as well. So you could fit guttering, lengths of timber and all sorts in there. Basically got a nice French van. Right, you get a better view of the cabin if I grab the camera, so that's what I've done. You get a very similar dashboard to the 3008, and the things I really like about that are the small steering wheel actually works well in an SUV. In some hatchback Peugeots, I don't really like that. You can't see the dials, but in this, you can see the standard fit digital dashboard, very easily, and I find it actually quite comfortable to drive in this position. You've got a 10-inch infotainment system in this model. You get a smaller 8-inch one in the really basic entry-level versions. I do love the cloth on the doors, the grey cloth there, and kind of over on the dashboard there. In the dark, that's illuminated blue, and it does make this cabin feel super cozy and comfortable, like kind of you imagine an old school French car feeling. I really like it. Peugeot does nice interiors. You've got some physical buttons here, I've just zoomed in, for things like your windscreen demister and some shortcut buttons for the infotainment. You have to plug your phone in to get Apple CarPlay, so excuse the wire, because that's what I've done there. You've got a little automatic gear shifter there, electronic handbrake, and you've got an air-conditioned cubbyhole under here. Now, there are a couple of little annoyances in this cabin, things that have bugged me over the past week. One is that to flick between the radio and Apple CarPlay requires too many presses of the screen. And the other one is that this armrest doesn't adjust for height or go in and out. So it's not the most comfortable car for long distances because of that. If you like relaxing on there, you just have to get your seat in the right position for it, which is the wrong way around because this just flips open like so. And the reversing camera is quite bad. It's quite bad quality, especially when it's dark, especially when it's raining, and it only uses about half the screen as well. So that feels old-fashioned. But other than that, I do like it. As I said, it feels snug, and you can do 3-point turns really quite quickly with this small twiddly steering wheel. I mean, all steering wheels twiddle, but this one is especially twiddly. Okay, that's enough of me whispering down your ear weirdly from behind the camera. I'm going to hop in the driver's seat, hit the road and tell you about what the 5008 is like to drive and the engine choices and the gearboxes and all those great things. Right, I'm going to take you for a very quick drive in the Peugeot 5008. It starts with a longer linear think press of the start button, as with every other modern Peugeot, and then that reversing camera is not great. But what is pretty impressive actually is the view out the back. Most modern cars, I have to say, the view out over your shoulder is rubbish, but in this, it's pretty decent. And look, small steering wheel makes 3-point turns really easy. You can just fling it around one-handed like it's some kind of weird, sinister frisbee. But yeah, once you're on the move, the 5008 is pretty decent, you know. It's very comfortable. It gets a little bit like pitter-pattery over bumps around town, but I think it's more comfortable than my Kodiaq, to be honest. It hasn't got perhaps quite the plushness of the Citroen C5 Aircross, but by and large, you're not going to get annoyed by the way this car goes down the road. The steering is quick as well. It doesn't have any feel to it, but you know where you're going and you can trust it. It doesn't make you feel like you're out of control or anything like that. So yeah, it's just very easy. Well done, Peugeot. Now, in terms of engine choice, it's pretty straightforward with the 5008. You've got the 1.2 litre petrol with 130 horsepower. That might not sound like much for a big SUV, but that's what this car has. And I've done lots of motorway driving. It's been absolutely fine, and it's quicker than you would think. It gets from 0 to 60 in about 10 seconds, which is perfectly adequate, trust me. And it does motorway speeds no problem. Then there's a 1.5 litre diesel with 130 horsepower. I've had that before in my 3008. It's a bit grumbly, it's not too bad, and you'll get more like 49 mpg in that, but obviously it's a diesel, so you might not want that. There's also a self-charging hybrid option, which is apparently pretty decent. It's got 136 horsepower, and yeah, people seem to quite like that. Thank you, nice cyclists in your high-vis jackets. So you've got 3 choices, all good. Now, what I would say is in this 1.2 petrol, the 8-speed auto gearbox can be quite jerky around town. It can be a bit like, it doesn't really know what it's doing. You don't get that in the 1.5 diesel in my experience. I think it's got a bit more torque to smooth out the jerk. So yeah, just be aware, and when you really put your foot down, it can take a little while to kick down, but they're minor problems. I wouldn't get the manual version because of it. So yeah, it is a nice car to drive. It's comfortable, you can see out of it, and it's quiet at a cruise as well. You don't get much wind noise off these mirrors at 70 miles an hour. So yeah, I quite like the idea of going on a big family camping trip to France in one of these. I can't really see where I'm going. Let's not have a crash. Brilliant. Now, the only real problems with this are that you can't get a full electric option, and there's no plug-in hybrid option on the 5008 either. There is on the 3008, so there's no 4-wheel drive option either, and it doesn't feel sporty to drive. But were you expecting that? It's not a 911 GT3 RS, despite what other motoring journalists want you to believe. Right, to sum up my thoughts, the Peugeot 5008 is a really good, reasonably affordable 7-seater SUV. It's got a lot going for it. I like its style, I like the interior ambience, I like the engine choices, I like the way it drives. By and large, it's pretty comfortable and a good all-rounder. The only real problem is that some of its rivals feel a little bit more modern, and this is getting on a little bit in certain areas, especially infotainment. So the new Skoda Kodiaq's coming out, that's probably going to be my pick over this, and it starts a little bit cheaper than this and goes a little bit more expensive than this. The Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace is just a more boring version of the Kodiaq as far as I'm concerned, but it's another good rival. But on its own, this is a really solid buy. Really like it. I like the 3 seats in the middle row. Very few cars are doing that. So if you're a family person like me, you want lots of ISOFIX, you want something a bit different, give it a look. Or a buy, even. You look with your money. But anyway, thank you for watching. If this has been helpful or entertaining or any of the above, hit like, go down to the comments, leave me the French word for 3 individual seats, and subscribe as well. Massively helps me out. I've been Tim, that's been Peugeot 5008. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, when it probably won't be so blissfully autumnal. Duh. Gets run over by a van.